Hello, dear students. The topic for today's discussion is Preamble of the Indian Constitution. This is Unit 1 of Core 9, Indian Government and Politics. Begin with what is a constitution. The Oxford Dictionary defines constitution as a system of laws and basic principles that a state, a country, or an organization is governed by. So it is basically the systematic mentioning of all the laws and the principles based on which a country or an organization functions. So the example is right to vote under the constitution or according to the constitution. So basically it means a set of laws and principles. What is preamble? Preamble basically means an introduction or a written document. So preamble is the introductory part. So what the topic for today's discussion is preamble to the Indian Constitution. So that this preamble acts as an introduction. It introduces us to what the Indian Constitution means and what the Constitution seeks to achieve. So this introduction is generally to a book or a written document. So we'll be studying about preamble to the Indian Constitution. Now this is our original preamble, and what does it mention? The preamble is, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. So as I had told in the previous slide, what does the preamble do? The definition of preamble is that it is an introduction. So what it does, it introduces the Constitution of India, and it introduces India as a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic. And what does it seeks to achieve for the people? All these values, so justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. So the preamble was framed by the Constituent Assembly. Now what is Constituent Assembly? Since I mentioned in the first slide, constitution is a set of rules and principles. So it is the Constituent Assembly, it is a body that framed the Indian Constitution, that gave shape to the Indian Constitution, and these are the values or these are the goals that the constitution makers saw for India, so that India should turn out to be a sovereign socialist secular democratic republic, and that it should guarantee all these values to its citizens. And when was it adopted? In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th of November 1949. It is the day on which we adopted and gave ourselves this constitution. So it is very well introducing what India stands for. So, what after reading the preamble carefully, we know that it is an introductory statement, and what it does, it shows what is the basic philosophy behind our constitution. And our constitution is the fundamental law of the land, means we are governed by this law, which is fundamental, which is very basic, and which is extremely important for an individual who is part of our country. And what it does, it reflects the dreams and aspirations. So those who made the Indian Constitution, or those who shaped the Indian Constitution, it reflects what were their hopes and aspirations for our country. Now, when you carefully read the preamble, you will come across four key ideas. First of all, from where does our constitution derive its power? It says, we the people. So that means that the ultimate authority here lies with the people. Second is that what are the goals that the constitution wants to achieve? The constitution wants to achieve justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So these are the goals that the constitution makers wanted India to achieve. Third is that what does it talk about the Indian state? It says that the state of the India is that it is a democratic republic. And lastly, what does it mention? It mentions that the day in which it was adopted and enacted, that is 26 November 1949. So whenever you read the preamble, automatically these points should come into your mind, that firstly the preamble is saying that all the power is lying with the people. So here the concept of popular sovereignty, where the sovereign or the supreme power is with the people. Next, what are the goals? These are the four goals that the preamble is talking about, that Indian constitution wants to guarantee to all its citizens. Next is that it declares what kind of state India is. It is a democratic republic, and when this preamble or the constitution was enacted and adopted 26 November 1914. So apart from that, there is a quick historical background. Whenever you talk about preamble, you have to know about the objective resolution. So the Constituent Assembly, this is a body that framed the Constitution of India. So the first meeting that happened of this group of people was on 9 December 1946, and it was on 13 December 1946 that Jawaharlal Nehru passed the historic objective resolution. Now, what did the objective resolution did? It laid down about all the basic ideology and philosophy based on which our constitution should function. So the constitution, the objective of the constitution should be to give equality, to guarantee liberty, democracy, and a cosmopolitan identity. So it is the preamble draws its basis from the objectives resolution. So just remember the date, 13 December 1946. It was passed by Jawaharlal Nehru, and the features or principles mentioned in objective resolution, they have been borrowed and they have been mentioned in the preamble. So in order to appreciate the nature of the preamble, it is essential to know about the objective resolutions. Here I have not mentioned all the objective resolutions. You can search it online and find it. Now, these are the elements that the Constitution or the preamble to the Constitution mentions: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. So, in each of these slides, we'll be discussing what these terms mean. Firstly, the concept "we the people", the term "we the people", which is used in the preamble, emphasizes that in India, ultimate sovereignty or the supreme power is with the people. And how can we say so? It is a democracy, and in democracy, what happens? It is the people who choose their representatives. So, although it is an indirect democracy, it is the people who choose their representative who ultimately wield power. So it is the sovereign power is with the people in general, and the constitution, it is founded on the consent of the people. So it is with the agreement of the people that the constitution is formed, since it is their representatives who have framed the constitution. Now, coming to all the elements, what does sovereign mean? Sovereign means supreme power. And what does the preamble do? It declares India to be a sovereign. So what does sovereign means? If you see, now India is an independent nation. We have our own foreign policy. No one can dictate us. No one can tell us what we have to do. No one can interfere in our internal matters. And externally also, we are free to take any decision. Externally, we are free to take part in any organization. So unlike British India, where India was not free to conduct its own affairs, after independence, India is a sovereign. It is an independent nation. Being a sovereign state, it can acquire or cede. Cede means to give away. So now we are a sovereign state, and what do we do in our territory, and how we acquire or cede a part of the territory, it is completely on us, and there will be no interference from any internal or external force. Second is socialist. Now you must remember that there are few elements which were added through amendment. So earlier the term socialist was not mentioned in the preamble. It was included in the preamble by the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. So remember this Amendment Act, and remember that it changed a part of the preamble and included the term socialist in it. So You have heard the word socialism, but in case of India, the brand of socialism that we have is democratic socialism. It is not communistic socialism. What is communistic socialism? In communistic socialism, everything is owned and managed by the state. So there is no concept of private ownership. But in democratic socialism, which is an Indian form of socialism, what happens is that there is a concept of mixed economy. So we both have public sectors and private sectors. It is not the state that is owning everything, all the enterprises. It is partly in private players hand and partly in public sector's hand. However, what the state is expected to do, the state is expected to ensure that there is no discrimination, there is no monopoly, means one individual or one private sector is dominating all. That does not happen. The state stands as a guard and ensures that there is all around development, that all the finances or every benefit is not restricting to a particular class, and that it is divided among all. So the state is expected to play a positive role. So our brand of socialism is democratic. The next is the term secular. This too was added by the 42nd Amendment Act 1976. We know that India is not a theocratic state, which means that it does not have a state religion. However, all religion in our countries have the same status, and the word secular means that the state neither favors nor discriminates against any religion. It is neutral, and India does not have a particular India does not have a state religion of its own, and every religion gets the same support from the. Next is democratic. You all already know that India is a representative parliamentary democracy. Why representative? Because it is our representatives who hold power. Next, it is parliamentary because we have a parliamentary form of government, and democracy because we have frequent periodic elections, and through elections, people send their representatives who conduct all aspects of the government. So, what are the elements of democracy? Periodic elections, then every Indian citizen who is 18 years of age can vote and choose their representatives. Even judiciary is independent. So these are the elements of a democracy, and India is definitely a democratic country. However, Dr. Ambedkar expressed his concern that the term democracy should mean not only political democracy, which is the right to vote and choose your representative, but also social democracy, where everyone gets to participate in the democratic structure. The second is the fifth point is the republic. Republic here is used in two senses. First of all, we have an elected president. So you know that in case of United Kingdom there is a king. So it cannot be called a republic. Definitely it is called a monarchy. But what do we have? We have a republic, and our head of the state is a president, is the president who is an elected person. So all offices of the government, it means two things. Firstly, that we have an elected president, and secondly, all offices of the government is open to all the citizens. So unlike monarchy, where the power is passed on in a hereditary manner, in case of a republic, the office of the government is open for all without any discrimination. The sixth element is justice. So, justice in which sphere? In social, economic, and political sphere. In social sphere, what is justice? It means equal treatment of all citizens. Means that a person, whether from high caste or low caste, whether from a tribal community or a backward community, all of them are given equal treatment without any discrimination, whether women or children. So all of them are given equal treatment. What is economic justice? It involves eliminating, means ending or reducing inequalities in wealth, income, and property. And third is political justice, which means political office is not limited to people who are rich or people who are from the high caste. Everyone has equal political rights. So anyone who is 18 years and above can vote and they can even contest elections provided they fulfill the age criteria and other qualifications. Then they are free to contest and hold public office. The seventh point is liberty. Now, there are two senses of liberty. First, that when an individual is acting, there is no limitations, and second is that you give enough opportunity for the human to develop. So, the preamble ensures to all the citizens of India liberty of thought. So everyone is given the freedom to think, the freedom to express themselves, the freedom to practice any religion and worship through their fundamental rights. And in case these rights are not given, they can approach the court of. The eighth point is equality. You all know what does equality mean. It means absence of special privileges to any section. So if any particular section is getting more opportunities than the other or more privilege, then it is not a then it is not a condition of equality. There has to be an absence of special privileges, and at the same time providing opportunities to all individuals. So you are giving, if a vacancy has come for a government job, that vacancy is open for all individuals. So you are giving equality of status and of opportunity. So how is equality ensured? Equality is ensured by the fact that everyone is given the right to vote, provided they are 18 years of age, without any discrimination. Then any job opening for the higher political, for the higher administrative office, it is open for everyone. Everyone can apply. So there is a provision of equality before law also. So if there is a law, everyone will be equal in front of that law. No one will get more privilege than the others. So all these reflects, in fact, the directive principles of state policy also reflects the provision of equality, where it talks about equal wage for equal work. So it's not that the women are getting paid lesser than the men. And last is the concept of fraternity, and it is very, very important. It denotes a sense of brotherhood. So we all know that we are citizen of India. So it is this concept of single citizenship which binds us together in brotherhood. Apart from that, there is a concept of integrity of nation. So there are three terms which are included by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 in the preamble. So prior to 1976, the term socialist, secular, and integrity of the nation was not there. So they were added later on. What does integrity of the nation means? Integrity means wholesomeness or the unity of the nation. How is it ensured? Article 1 of the Indian Constitution says that India is a union of states. So India now is a union of 29 states, and states have no right to secede from the union. So the territorial integrity is maintained. How? The states, obviously the borders can change, but no state has the right to leave the territory of the union. So fraternity means a sense of. Now, what are some of the keynotes on preamble? First of all, preamble is a part of the constitution. It introduces what the Constitution of India stands for. However, it is non-justiciable. What is the difference between justiciable and non-justiciable? For example, fundamental right. If your fundamental right is violated, you can go to the court of law because it is justiciable. But preamble is non-justiciable, which means that the provisions are not enforceable. So in case there is any provision where there is a concept of. So apart from that, the preamble can be amended, as I had told, that 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. It introduced the word secular, socialist. So it means that changes can be made in the preamble. However, no amendment should be done to change the basic feature. Now, what are basic features? Basic feature is like those elements which are very fundamental to our constitution. So you cannot change them or you cannot alter them. So example being independence of judiciary, judicial review, fundamental rights. So these, although some changes can be made, but the basic features will remain the same. Now, this is a quick note about the significance of the preamble. So you can read that K.M. Munshi referred the preamble as the horoscope. Why a horoscope? Because it is predicting, or it wishes India to be a sovereign democratic republic. It wants India to achieve justice, liberty, equality for all its citizens. Then another member of the Constituent Assembly, Pandit Thakur Das Bhargava, he stated that preamble is the soul of the constitution, and definitely it is. And even Sir Ernest Barker, he referred and described the preamble as the keynote. So these are the statements of some eminent personality, and this reflects that how important the preamble is. So anyone who wants to read about the Indian constitution, after reading the preamble they can get an idea about the essence, or the idea about the goals that India and India's constitution wishes to attain for its citizens. So this is it for today's lecture. In the next lecture, we'll be discussing about other aspects of Indian government.